all may remember our last action as well. Dashiell Renaud.
Good evening, Your Honors, distinguished members of the judiciary, newly admitted students. May it please the inebriated. Seriously though, please drink up. The drunker you'll be, the less guilty you'll feel about laughing at my jokes. For the newcomers among us who might be holding back, let me explain that this is the Balsa Talent Show, and Balsa stands for the proposition that blacking out later is socially acceptable. That's why Ryan Miller is one of the judges. For those of you who were here last year, you'll remember that Justice Willard thought it was appropriate to interrupt my routine a few times. I hope I won't be speaking before a hot bench this evening. That would really draw this out, and I'm not here to make fun of the handicap. I actually really feel for Ryan right now. I am incredibly distraught about this recent Above the Law article that suggests that a majority of people feel that University of Texas and UCLA deserve the moniker top tier more than Vanderbilt. And what shocks me is that this article cites to UCLA's pretty girls and the beautiful women in Austin. Now, you ladies better not take this lying down. Vanderbilt has a gorgeous female student body. Justice Willard has seen to that. But now it's your time to play your role. Starting Monday, I want to see you girls showing up here in your shortest cut, tightest fitting, whatever you've got that flaunts it, bring it on. Go home tonight, take down all your jeans, and just trim them down to joints. I want to see pockets exposed. And we'll see who the real T14 school is. Big ups to the acts that came before me. You guys were awesome. I really like the head notes this year, but I will warn them that singing Kiss the Girl probably wasn't a great choice. They're seriously opening themselves up to some vicarious liability for sexual assaults, and it's just unconscionable, really. But I'm going to apologize in advance, everybody, that I don't have as many jokes this year as I did last year. I thought that if I took a light load this semester, it would give me some time to work on material, so I signed up to take this really easy seminar. Unfortunately, the professor had to take a last-minute leave of absence, so I was left to take some real courses instead. And that hurts. I mean, that's a real bummer. Of course, as you guys probably know, it's really not the courses so much as the extracurriculars that really digs into your schedule. I mean, bar review, Blackacre, every week. That takes some time. And being part of these student organizations, in fact, I would be forgetting my office as president of the Vanderbilt Intellectual Property Association if I did not take this opportunity to remind you all of the dangers of illegal downloading. It can really slow down your internet. I mean, really. You can be looking at degraded video quality, distorted sound, and of course if you're a total noob, you can expose yourself to viruses, so I really wouldn't recommend it. Certainly not if you're looking to put that JD to use at any point. Me, I value my doctorate way too much to be involved in that. In fact, the very first thing I did when I got to the school is I went right up to Dean Morton and I asked him, so when I graduate, will I be able to make people call me doctor? Needless to say, he immediately regretted admitting me and walked away without answering my question. But what I've since come to realize is that attorneys tend to dispose of any formalities. Usually being barred is all the credentials you need. It's like, hey, call me Mike. But I anticipate in this economy, all of that is going to change. The day I graduate, you guys are going to start calling me Dr. Dashiell Renaud, J.D. Esquire. Getting those accolades stacked. Because seriously, we've earned them. Law school is hard. That's why we're all going bald. I've actually ascertained that the true cause of baldness is strenuous exertion of the brain, which certainly explains why only men go bald. But boy, do we go bald here. Law school is a lot of stress. In fact, I actually really love how the stress of finals becomes an excuse for absolutely anything. It's like, oh man, I've been wearing the same shirt for the last 5 days. Finals. I'm focused on those finals. I can't be worried about what I'm wearing. It's finals. Dude, I forgot to buy my mom a Christmas present this year. Finals. Been busy with those finals. She'll understand, it's finals. On my way home, I heard muffled cries coming from the trunk of a parked automobile, and I just kept on walking. I mean, it's finals. I gotta worry about number one right now. I don't got time for that. It's finals time. I will grant that some law students seem to find positive outlets for dealing with this stress. Perhaps that's how our female peers manage to keep their hair. Women, it's amazing. They've managed to turn absolutely everything into a form of exercise. It's ridiculous. I mean, at first it was like, oh, look at me. I'm exercising with my samba lessons. I'm working out and having a good time. This is all I need. But then some brilliant innovator came along and was like, nah, check this. That's right. We hip-hop dancing now. Look what this does for my abs. And this is practical. I'm going to be bringing this to the club. I get down with this music. Forget that samba noise. But no, they didn't stop there. Unfortunately, women have really taken this concept to the utter extreme. Ladies these days are taking pole dancing lessons for exercise. I mean, what's next? Fellatio fitness? Seriously. You can't take it. I hear all the boyfriends in the audience are like, dude, don't ruin this. But what you guys are realizing is these women threaten to take the shame out of pole dancing. You can't do that. It would destroy the art form. That would be like removing cigarettes and bulimia from ballet. There's nothing left in motivation. Yeah, the women hate me. It's true. Dashiell, why don't you joke about politics? I guess it's an election year or whatever, but I tried to joke about politics last year, poking some fun at the legislature and the GOP. It just sailed right over everybody's heads. I mean, evidently I need to reserve that kind of humor for a more sophisticated audience. To connect with this crowd, I need toilet humor. Plain and simple, that's what works. What's ironic is that toilet humor rarely has anything to do with actual toilets. And I think that's really sad, because toilets are actually a really funny thing to joke about, especially in a room filled with people who you share toilets with on a day-to-day basis. I love how this school has in place like an airport-style locker room bathroom, a whole bunch of redundantly placed two-stall bathrooms all throughout the school. And they're unnecessarily identical. I swear that they were actually trying to build a cube here. One day I'm going to go into one of these bathrooms and leave on a totally different floor. But because there are so many bathrooms, you rarely ever run into anybody. And that's really nice if you're a guy trying to use the ladies' room without getting caught. But the downside of this is it allows for some heinous acts of excrementory vandalism. I mean, from the typical spatter you'll encounter on the toilet seats here at this school, you'd think our median LSAT score was somewhere in the 150s. That is not going to please Ryan. But it's not the perennial droplets I'm concerned about, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen some evidence of utter barbarism. I mean, toilet bowl remains that would make a tattooed middle schooler find somewhere else to smoke a cigarette. I once encountered a pool 2.5 feet in diameter of urine, to be sure, right in front of a urinal. And I'm standing there looking at this thing like Dexter at a crime scene. And I'm perplexed, because the only spatter on the urinal itself is on the lower outside of the basin. So this guy must have been standing a good yard and a half away from the wall. And this was one of the library bathrooms too, so that pretty much rules out Blackacre Blackouter. This was somebody boozing in the carols, 3 briefs to the wind style. That is some impressive multitasking. I'll admit I probably would have been a lot less impressed had I caught this guy in the act. I would have been upset to see somebody in my library bathroom just unloading on the floor. But of course, bathroom encounters are always awkward. There's always 3 worries you got to keep in mind whenever you're encountering somebody in the bathroom. The first is that somebody's going to walk in on you while you're in a stall. Now, this is easy to protect against. Keep it locked. It's like seatbelt physics. Just keep it locked every time. Sometimes there isn't a lock or it doesn't work, I'll grant you that, but just step on it, you know? Especially if you see somebody coming, put a foot on it. You know? But the second fear is that you'll walk in on somebody else while they're using the restroom. Now this fear is a little harder to protect for because you can't always account for what other people are or aren't doing to protect themselves. So when you approach a closed stall, there's this preliminary inquiry that goes down. It begins with a sniff test. Do any odors or sounds indicate occupancy? If the answer is no, this isn't totally dispositive. There still could be somebody discreetly in there. So what you have to do is you have to venture to the corner of the stall. Now this brings me to my third and greatest fear, which is locking eyes with someone through the narrow opening of a closed and occupied bathroom stall. Seriously, what do you do at that point? I mean, when you walk in on somebody in the stall, there's a prefab dialogue. Oh, geez, excuse me, sorry, my bad. But when somebody catches you peering to an occupied bathroom stall, a casual apology isn't really going to work at that point. And trust me, they're going to keep your stare. They're going, what? There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can say. You just got to run away. It's terribly awkward and embarrassing. But as I've come to learn, the worst bathroom encounters of them all tend to be the unspoken kind. Once, not too long ago, I was here at school, going about my business, and I witnessed a person in the stall next to me depart from a toilet, having left behind telling odors, and proceed to exit the stall and walk right on out of the restroom. And I did not hear any faucets. Gross, right? And don't think I can't figure out who you are based on the shoes you were wearing. This is not that big of a school. When the architect warned you that you'd regret not putting a bathroom in the dean's office, this is what they were talking about. Speaking of the bathroom blueprints, everybody, who decided that only women need water fountains and payphones? I'm sorry, but that is sexist. I mean, sure, women might need phones more than we do. It's a symptom of hysteria. But last time I checked, men need water too. And this is just not fair. Equal sexes, equal facilities. That's what I say. And I think everyone here this evening will agree that it is high time women started learning how to use urinals. Are we a school that embraces progress or not? It's that simple. It's a yes or no question. However, having suffered through 4 years of equality and progress in college, I can confess that it's pretty lame. Moreover, I think that 4 years of summer camp is just too much. You know, it's excessive. I've been known to say that I would have been fine just coming straight out of high school, right into law school. Unfortunately, observing this year's 1L class, you can see that's not a very good idea. Seeing these kids run around without laces in their shoes, wearing plaid shorts, making a ruckus in the library, talking about their future jobs like a bunch of 5-year-olds boasting about what Santa Claus is going to be bringing for Christmas. Hey man, I'm going to rent a movie and just eat some Valentine's candy, brah. This property reading's only going to take 20 minutes. I'm sorry, but someone needs to explain to this young man that had he spent more than 20 minutes on his property reading, it might have occurred to him that his future interest in an attorney's salary has not vested yet. But it's not their fault, really. It's not. They're young, they're restless, they're hypoglycemic. The school's got help them along their way. And that's why the theme of this year's career services events has been how not to act like a 14-year-old and other tips on how to dress. In case you weren't able to make the meeting, some of the important takeaways were, if you're not able to grow facial hair, don't try. No tassels on the shoes. Do not wear this green to an interview. But I understand, you know, interviewing is really intimidating. But don't worry, kids. Uncle Dash is here to help. What you gotta understand is that there's a terrible power imbalance. They know that you have loans to pay. You know what the job statistics are. It's fundamentally unfair. So when you go in there, you need to even the playing field going in. And this can require a bit of role playing. Allow me to explain. When it's my turn for an interview and it comes time to boot the previous interviewee, I don't knock. I just stand there. You want to do this loud enough so they can hear you through the door. Now, when they come to that door, you're going to be a little cautious, but you don't want to rush in. No. You just very casually and curtly acknowledge the previous interviewee with an air that intimates, I'm not going to go out of my way to tell this guy what scum you are, purely out of a sense of honor. And then when you finally get into the room, the first thing I do after a direct and firm handshake is I undo the brooch of my cloak, full suit of plate mail armor, and I slowly lower myself down into the seat and just ever so casually rest my broadsword right across my head. And take out that whetstone and just begin stroking it. Just so. Now, you know what the interviewer's first question is going to be, but you're ready for it. So, I see that you didn't participate in mock trial. Shit. You didn't ask in the form of a question, so you're going to let him sweat it out of you. Shit. I don't compete in tournaments. Because when I face a man in the courtroom for real, I don't want him to know what I'm capable of. But of course, as you all already know, it's really not so much the interviews as the cover letters that's the difficult part of getting a job, and that I can't help you with. There is nothing worse than trying to lie in a cover letter to make it sound like you're interested in living somewhere that you would never consider if it wasn't for this terrible company. Dear Billy and Bumpkin, though I do not have any strong contacts to Alabama per se, I can assure you that I am very much interested in agrarian law, college football, and a racist work environment. Seriously, what are you going to tell these people? I'm sorry, I don't know that much about Birmingham. I hear you guys love the governor. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could all just go to the jobs that we thought we were supposed to go to when we graduated from law school? Wouldn't that be nice? Of course, I think it would be 10 times as amazing and probably more realistic if everybody got to go where they thought they were supposed to go when they died. Like some people would be in heaven, other people would be in nirvana, others would remain as ghosts, haunting the lives of their trust beneficiaries. The only problem with such a system is you have to be really careful to make sure that you're spiritually aligned with your family and friends. Because that'd be like getting an Xbox to play online only to find out that everybody else has PlayStation. It's like, no! What am I going to do with all these virgins? Not one of them speaks English. They're terrible. Speaking of Xbox Live, however, I must be the only law student in history stupid enough to use his gamer tag for his Westlaw ID. Someday I'm going to be handing a client an invoice with an outstanding balance for the Westlaw account entitled CopKilla_420 with a couple of $261 searches and some 36-hour-day billables. You guys know what I'm talking about. Working overtime and undertime. Working around time. Giving time the old workaround. Dean Sandine, is it okay for me to joke about malpractice in the law school? No guidance ever. It's alright, well, malpractice isn't that big of a deal. A show of hands, everybody. Everyone here who has at some point or another offered unaccredited legal advice, either to a family member, a close friend, a complete stranger. Okay, everybody's hand is raised. The camera can't see this, but everybody's hand is raised. And that's understandable, especially as a 1L. I mean, you come into law school and you feel so empowered. You're like, don't worry, bro, I got you, man. You are okay. I got access to Westlaw now. I got that Lexus. I got the law in the palm of my hand. You are touchless. 12B6, baby. That's all it is. I got you. Come 2L year, though, hopefully you're humming a different tune. You've come to realize that you can't help out that much, and those same friends are calling you back, and it's like, you did what? What? No, bro, dude, you told me that you'd be able to help me. You said it was all good. No, come on, man. I didn't even know it was a crime. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was an element of the mens rea. My apologies. No, do you honestly think that an ordinary, reasonable person would openly urinate off the side of a slide tower at a water park? Sorry, bro, you're a sex offender now. I hope you're on really good terms with your neighbors, because you're going to be needing them to sign some stuff. But we can't blame them. I mean, it's not their fault. We expect criminals to know the law, and that's just bogus. And even if they were to read these legal opinions, the law uses really imprecise language. For example, when I got charged with aggravated assault, at first I was really content by that. I was like, cool. They recognized I was really aggravated. This guy had done everything in the world to piss me off. You know, this wasn't an out-of-the-blue assault. This was an aggravated assault. And then when the judge said that I had an incredible defense, I thought that was pretty good. I thought I was going home scot-free. That sounds like a fine defense to me. Apparently not. I personally think that the law should adopt some more evocative terminology, like the term wishy-washy. What a great term is that? You say it and you immediately conjures to mind exactly what it is. Someone standing over a sink trying to wash a dish, and it's like, it's kind of clean. I wish it could. That's a perfect legal term. The district court's adjudication of this case was wishy-washy, so the standard of review is de novo. See, that makes sense to me. I can appreciate that. Unfortunately, even if the law was to start talking sense, that wouldn't help. Does anybody here live at 20 and Grand? I know you guys. I see you villains. Last year, I explicitly admonished patronizing the homeless. But it appears that the folks at 20 and Grand weren't taking me seriously. There are announcements in both elevators of that building calling on all tenants to donate so that they might collectively pay the rent of a family of 3. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is precisely what you're not supposed to do. You can't give homeless people homes. That's why they're called homeless people. You can't take them out of their natural environment. That's like trying to domesticate a raccoon. It's all going to go south real quick. I mean, you guys aren't taking me seriously, but I've studied this in wills and trusts. A parent-child relationship can form, and like that, you are out an elective share of your estate. And if this family has no qualms with soliciting $1,200 a month in rent from absolute strangers, they aren't going to have any problem with electing their fair share. Now, I can't tell you what to do. I can only advise you. Some of you amongst us this evening are going to go on to amass great fortunes, and you're going to be able to raise whole villages of homeless people, if that's what you're doing. It'll be just like you're playing Farmville, only more like Zombie Farm. But for the other half of you, I'm telling you right here and now, don't come looking to me to pay your rent. I got finals.
Save it automatically.